Hey guys, it's Mathel here once again, and the next build that I've got to showcase is a Wander, a Frenzy Wander. So Wanders are they usually feel pretty good, and they're fairly, kind of established. There's not too much you can do to change things up, which is why I really wanted to, I wanted to play a Wander, but I didn't want to do the same shit as always, and that's why we're seeing some Frenzy Wander action. So I wanted to make things a little bit different for Wanders instead of just, int stacking or some shit like that. Or Ellie hit would have probably been the other thing. Went ahead and rolled some Forbidden Shakos, as you would have seen in the last video, and got some Ice Bite action a couple times. One that wasn't too overpowered, just hit Ice Bite and item rarity, so I thought I can justify using this one, and went ahead and tried to make my own little take on something using an Ice Bite Shako. So this is a Frenzy stacking Raider using the Frenzy skill as a Wander. The Frenzy alternate quality, one of them that is good, is an additional projectile, so that right off the bat gets you an additional proj, and then Wanding Mastery also has an additional projectile as well. So you can start out with 3 projectiles on Frenzy just by default, throw in a Dying Sun and endless munitions from Deadeye, and all of a sudden we've got a lot of projectiles to scale our barrage when we go into single target off of, or just for clear, helps not having to use a GMP or an LMP, and it makes the build kind of pretty comfortable. So it is a full cold build. It's got chain for clear, and it freezes and chills pretty nicely, and then with Herald of Ice things explode well, and Ice Bite is doing all of the kind of hard carry in the build for damage, since it should be worth about 700 to 1000 cold damage. So I've got almost no cold damage anywhere else, and that is the entirety of the scaling of the build. Other than that, it's a Raider, so it's got plenty of speed involved in it because we are the Frenzy side of things, and then it just lets you also build, if you go the phasing side, it lets you build very comfortably for Ailment Avoid, Spell Suppress, and phasing. So it does kind of feel a bit bad not being a Deadeye. I absolutely love Deadeye for anything projectile. I was going to say projectile attack, but even anything projectile in general, especially projectile attack though, Deadeye feels amazing. But I can't just keep justifying Deadeye over and over again, so I did try and make some sort of a decent enough use of a Raider. And it's gone pretty well. It is smooth having a Raider just be kind of immune to a bit of everything while also zooming. I imagine if you had something like Kinetic Blast, you'd be clearing maybe a bit quicker or some shit. I don't know. Doesn't matter. The whole purpose was to see if Frenzy could work, and it kind of does. So far this character is going to be up to about 10 mil in DPS, which isn't anything too massive to write home about for the amount we would have spent thanks to the Ice Bite Shako, and you'll see the gear in a sec, but you're going to try and get some plus frenzies, so it's not too easy. So I would have thought there'd be a bit more damage, but it's still very good, and I'm still going to be tackling speed mapping and some end game for the next day or two, because I think this character is probably the best, or one of the most fun mapping that I've done for the league, since it's pretty fast, pretty zoomy, and fairly tanky with like 95% evasion. Some good life gain on hit, some good life on kill, and being ailment immune, spell suppress, all of that synergizes really well with shrines, with accelerate and echo. So I do think it's going to be a character that I can play for a bit, but the single target means not quite sure I'm going to get through a lot of the Ubers. We'll have to wait and see. I think it's a very good playstyle, so it should be alright. And it is currently using Point Blank, which isn't super ideal. I kind of wanted to take Far Shot from Deadeye instead of the 2 projectiles so that it could be really ranged, and I'm going to go ahead and see how that plays out, not having Far Shot in the end game. But with Tornado, it does mean that it's kind of comfortable just dropping a Tornado down and then blasting away and getting a whole bunch of extra DPS, which might take us to quite a bit higher DPS. We'll have to just see how Tornado performs. But this little clip just trying to showcase a different Herald, one of the starting OG Heralds, and that is Herald of Ice with Gloom Effect. And the previous entire video had Herald of Ice with Dragon Hunter effect. In any case, let's jump in and see how I've built the characters so far. There's the character so far, level 90, more frenzies than DPS. In concept, wasn't too sure to go too far. I mean, it's frenzy attack after all, but it's worked out well enough. 4.3k life, a little bit of energy shield for ghost shrouding as well, an absolute fuck ton of evasion with frenzies up. I'm at like 40 something thousand, so about 90%, and then I blind enemies on hit as well, so pretty close to 95% chance to evade mobs. And then spell suppress, ailment immune. Haven't finished resists yet because I haven't finished one of my items, but we'll get there. So we are based around the Ice Bite Shaco, so basically just a 5-link, but an extremely potent one, because Ice Bite at that level, at 34, like I said, with 10 frenzies, it should give you about 700 to 1,000 added cold damage, which means I've got pretty close to nothing anywhere else. But I do have to stack a bunch of frenzies for it, and in this case I tried to just get them kind of everywhere, but not go too overboard on the budget. So Anomalous Frenzy gives an additional wand attack, or additional range projectile, then LE damage attacks, Awaken Chain, and Inspiration, and then we sub in Anomalous Barrage for single target, and that gives us a nice little spray. Otherwise, currently should have 5 projectiles, thanks to Endless Munitions. Since it wasn't too expensive, did decide to pick something from Deadeye in the end, and literally 3 or 4 of the Ascendancies all perform roughly the same. So Endless Munitions, Fast Shot, Focal Point, and the Tailwind, they have various degrees of expensiveness. This one was probably the cheapest at the time at like 8x total, I think it was. Focal Point is pretty damn good too, just for single target. Otherwise, you know, if you go Fast Shot, it changes your playstyle to be a bit more ranged, and gives you much better map clear as well. Currently, I am point blank. Otherwise, as you can see, the tree is picking up some frenzy crap. It is just like a huge travel tree. We pick up some frenzy crap, bit of mark stuff, frenzies, all the way up to the wand stuff for the extra projectile, and then some crit multi and that sort of stuff. A Ghost Shroud, and I've got 1 Watcher's Eye, which gives us a bit of extra evasion on Grace, and Vitality life gain on hit. I wasn't originally gonna go life gain on hit on the character, but I started to get a bit like more sustained with evasion and the amount that I can like kind of take damage wise, so I figured let's get a bit of life gain on hit, and then that should mean I can actually face tank things on this character. So I've got a bit there, got a little bit there, and also on a ring I will be working on. So we're not done with that yet, but I will have a ring that has some life gain on hit, which means I should have about 50 to 60 life gain on hit with a lot of projectiles. It should be really good sustain. So that's what we're starting with. I then, let's say, Frenzy Ring. So they do have max Frenzy Rings nowadays thanks to the Sentinel modifier. I picked up a blue one for 3.5 exalts, and then just smashed it together with something that had life and some other crap on it, and it ended up just combining the life and the frenzy. So I got lucky on the first try basically, and then I just need to finish off the suffixes with this ring. I do really want some minus mana costs so I can actually spam quite a bit easier on my build, though currently that's all I've got, and it is enough to kind of take away any sort of mana pressures, but I could go even lower, and I do want another piece just so I can basically spam always forever and reserve almost all of my mana. But that's a max frenzy ring. You can get some pretty ridiculous ones, double max frenzy if you really want. Each additional frenzy is going to give me like 10 to 15% more damage at this point, which is pretty crazy. But I'm currently at 10 max frenzies. You can get like a max frenzy implicit shield, but that usually starts at around 10 exalts if you want an evasion base. So once again, trying to be a bit more realistic, but smashed a couple of shields together to just try and get some good hybrid life and evasion and energy shield going. But the most important thing was avoid ailments and spell suppress. That helps cap me out. We then have placeholder ring. Like I said, going to get some life gain on hit, smashed some amulets together, got a couple of fractures, and then just finished it off with Scorn spam, and then suffix cannot change, and Veil mod. So that's what we ended up getting there, though I would have preferred it hit life and then that I can craft minus mana cost, but it hit that, so I'm just going to keep it. +1 Dark Rays, and just grab a life roll there. They're really cheap, doesn't matter. And then +1 Frenzy High Templars with some attack crit. There's lots of good things to get here. I just went with the attack crit, but could have got attack speed or curse on hit and get another curse or life. But these were like a couple X, so why not? And then belt I've been reusing plenty of times. Replica Shroud of Lightless. So since I was going to do the Ice Bite hat, it felt like a great opportunity to finally bust out one of these. I've been looking to use one of these in a build for a long time now, and they are cheap enough, or they were cheap enough, 3 or 4x, can't remember what I paid for it. It was pretty damn low. And then just tried to jam some sort of jewels in there. Like I said, Ice Bite is giving us almost all of our damage, so flat damage doesn't really do much. Basically just a chest that gives a bunch of life, crit multi, and attack speed. And ends up being, yeah, probably more worthwhile than any other chest I could have done, given that I don't really think I need anything else from another chest. But you could have gone a lot more defensive with the chest, some attack crit, you know, all kinds of wacky shit. But like I said, I really wanted to use one of these at some point, and this seemed to be the best time to do it while it's cheap and while I'm using a skill that can double as my clear and my attack all in a hat. We then also have the final piece of the puzzle, which is a wand that just has a bunch of penetration on it. So since I don't really need much damage on it, you can get wands that have Redeemer Cold penetration, the Unveiled penetration mod, and then Topotantes from Temple mod, and smash all those three together with recombinators and get this result. I didn't actually make this one, someone else did, and then I bought it for 4 exalts, I think it was. It should take, I don't know, a few goes to get it. It'll just be kind of tedious, but you know, Redeemer Cold Pen and Topotantes, they're going to be kind of everywhere. And then the Veiled mod, like, probably going to be kind of everywhere, and I don't think weapon recombinators cost too much. It just would have been a tedious process, and when it was up for sale, absolutely just went ahead and got it. So prefix cannot be changed, and then I just did a more crit reroll since we can't use a Veil reroll. There's already a Veil on there, and just got crit, but would have liked a bigger crit roll, maybe a crit multi. Probably still just going to slam a suffix in the end anyway. And that's basically the character. We've got Spell Slinger with Sniper's Mark instead of Mark on Hit, because Mark on Hit reduces its effectiveness just a little bit, but it also means that it's going to apply only to rares and uniques, and also at a slower rate, like 4-second cooldown, whereas here we are proccing it every single time we cast. So it's a bit nicer on Spellslinger, but you could do Mark on Hit if you're trying to save some extra reservation. I think it just helps a bit more for clear this way, and doesn't come at any cost to the effect of the mark itself. You then got Herald of Ice, Running Grace, Divine Blessing to Hatred, Precision level 1, Flame Dash, Vitality, and Vitality is only there for the Watcher's Eye, Shield Charge, and then Power Charge on crit, Tornado, and crit strikes. So that gives us some sustain on single target for power charges, and otherwise a whole bunch of DPS when you pump into it, and it becomes a bit more damage based. So I think that's it. That's all we need to say for the character so far. It's been a very successful wander thus far. Absolutely speed leveling to 91, but I'll probably take it quite a bit further because it does map like a dream. I think you could do, I've actually already had a look, you could do a setup without the Ice Bite hat and just use Ice Bite, still stack Frenzies, and then just go Added Cold, like Awaken Added Cold, so, you know, turn it into a 6-link without the hat. And if you went Deadeye and still tried to stack Frenzies, you'd have a similar amount of DPS, but you'd then probably really want to have to try and build quite a bit different to get Added Cold in various places, and don't know if you'd be able to do a chest like this because you need a different sort of 6-link. But yeah, I think you can do Frenzy Raider without the Ice Bite hat, just a bit of a different setup. Just get you thinking. The additional proj on the Frenzy is pretty cool. So that's that. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.